Hey guys, welcome back. Sorry I'm a hot mess once again. Just got out of the shower, so this is what you get. Told you guys, you're good, the real me. One day, I will care what I look like, and I will do my hair and makeup for you guys. Promise. But let's just get started. I'll say I made a list. Just a couple notes. Not really a list. But I made some notes so that I stay on timeline with things that were going on. So I also thought about and rewatched my video that I posted last week and was like, oh, I kind of miss telling you guys some things. So I'm going to go back just a little bit. So just going to get right into it. Red flag number 1 coming up that I forgot to mention. My abuser had a no contact order put on him by his child's mother. Obviously, the story I got told from him and the story that I eventually found out from her, 2 different things. But obviously, something clearly happened for a judge to grant that no contact order. He did consent to it, to the no contact order. But in his explanation was, why would a man want a woman to get up on the stage and just ruin their name? So, I mean, if she had something to tell, something happened, right? But anyway, he made his story sound good in the beginning, that I was like, yeah, okay, there's some crazy females out there. Yeah. Because best believe he made his baby mom sound utterly insane. So that's one reason I did not meet his daughter up until almost a year into dating, was because he had recently had that no contact order put on him, right before we had started dating, and it was a year no contact order. He did get his daughter gifts and stuff on her birthday and things like that, and I think he might have saw her a couple times, even though he wasn't supposed to, because of the order. But he did still try to see her and get her things and stuff, so that happened. So I left off that we got engaged. So after we got engaged, he posted my hand with the ring to his Facebook story. Keep in mind, stories only last 24 hours on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, any of those. So it was on his story. And I came to the realization kind of after that I'm like, he's never posted me on his social media account. None of the social media accounts. None of them. Granted, the only one he mainly used was Snapchat. You'll hear about our issues with that soon enough. And yeah, he never couple photos of him and I, never photos of just me. He would post pictures of our kids and him and the kids, but not of me. And he liked to, we'll get into more of that later, because that's something that I came to realization later on. So anyway, we got engaged. He posts my ring in my hand on his Facebook story. And I believe it was the next day. Yeah, the next day I was at work, because he proposed on a Sunday. So the next day I was at work. My phone was getting blown up from people I didn't even know. And apparently this was some girl's sister. I believe one was her cousin. They claim she tried to reach out to me, but I don't have any messages from her. And in these stories, the girl that the sister and cousin are talking to me about is the girl I previously mentioned, that he took to the Christmas party. Obviously, at that time, I didn't know he had taken another girl to the Christmas party. I found that out, honestly, even after this. the messages these girls sent me didn't even mention that part. I found that later on. But the messages they did send me was that, remember how I told you guys he was really sick and went to a friend's house after the hospital because it was closer than coming home? He was at her house. Yeah, that happened. And then they tried to mention some crown necklace that he apparently gave her for her birthday, but I don't know if he took it away from her or if she left it like in his car. So I really don't know how it became back in his possession, but they thought he had given that to me. I had never seen this necklace at all, so I kind of like rolled my eyes at that, like, I don't even know about a necklace. Funny story down the line. I'll skip ahead just a second just because it has to do with this necklace. One day he decided he wanted to get his daughter a necklace. He'd gotten me plenty. He wore necklaces all the time. Chains, I should probably say. My son had a chain with a cross on it. So he felt his daughter should have a necklace. It was a crown necklace. Because, you know, she's his princess. Let's be honest. We know we stalk people's Facebooks. So I found the girl and I stalked her Facebook. So I already knew what this necklace looked like. He gave that necklace that he had bought that girl for her birthday to his daughter. Yeah, he'll deny that. But you can find pictures of the girl wearing the necklace and you can see the necklace he gave his daughter. They're the same necklace. Again, he didn't give her that until further down the line. So, but I just wanted to mention that. It's not necessarily really relevant. It's just one of those things that, to me, kind of another red flag in a sense. But yeah, so that happened. And I confronted him about these messages. And he's like, babe, you knew I went to a friend's house. Okay, but it was this female's house. Okay, you claim you're just friends, but if you're just friends, then why is she and her family so butthurt that you're engaged to a different woman? If you're just friends. So, honestly, I don't know why I let that one go, because it sat with me for a long time. To be honest, I think I still have the Facebook messages in my Facebook Messenger. Just because I don't ever, like, delete anything, to be honest. So, moved on from that. He was like, I'm going to block her on everything, so on and so forth. Okay. Whatever. So, that was in May. And like I had said, we got the offer accepted on the house. And we had talked about wanting dogs previously to all of this, before, you know, getting the house and stuff. And now that we were getting a house that's going to have a fully fenced-in backyard, we're like, hey, let's get some dogs. So he wanted to get American Bullies. I wanted a Husky, but he wanted American Bullies. And he put up a good conversation that we had about, why don't we show them? Why don't we breed them? Why don't we make the breed better? And, like, it became all this stuff. And, like, once I kind of started looking into the breed and the dog a little bit more, I was like, okay, they're cute. You know, I wanted them too at that point. So, we drove about 6 hours for our mail and put a deposit down and met him. And then we drove about 2.5 hours for our female, which we met her and put a deposit down on her in June. Might have been end of May, beginning of June. And then pretty much our puppies were 10 days apart. They're from 2 different litters, obviously. So we would go on little family trips, and we went and picked up our mail about a week. about a week or so before we moved into our new house. And then we got our female 10 days after. So it was a couple days before we moved into the house. They're so adorable. I still love them to death, and I miss them every day. I'll get into more of that later on. It's a pull on my heartstrings kind of thing. Just because those dogs were my son's best friend. Especially Nino. Anyway, I'll get to that later on. So we got our puppies, and we got the house, and there was some painting and some stuff we wanted to do to the house, so, we got the house July 1st, and we took a week to paint the rooms we wanted painted, redo the hardwood floor we wanted to do, just things like that, and get the house packed up more and stuff. So, we moved in that following weekend. It was crazy moving. I'm thinking about it all in my head right now. It was a crazy move. But we moved into our house, and the kids loved it. They each had their own rooms, and we let them pick out a color for each of their rooms to have an accent wall, so both their rooms had something of them, you know. So the house came together. We got everything organized, put together. The puppies loved the new space of the house. It was great. It was great. My neighbors were amazing. I love them all to death. I'm a lot closer to more of them now that I've been here a while, but in the beginning, my direct next door neighbors, oh my gosh, they were so great. They knew the previous owners. I mean, everybody knew the previous owners, but they were really good friends with the previous owners, and I guess they had told them, make sure you let someone buy the house that we're gonna like. And, well, here we are. So we were in the house, and that same month in July, there was one night we were laying down in bed, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and his phone starts ringing. At first, I didn't really think much of it, just because I know the life he lived, that it wasn't uncommon for people to call him kind of later at night. Well, I noticed the number was saved in his phone. For him not to answer a number saved in his phone was kind of odd. Typically, he just wouldn't answer numbers he didn't know, which is what I do too, so. But he had this number saved, and he didn't answer it. I kind of, it bothered me, but I was like, okay, maybe it's someone he just didn't want to talk to. And like I said, it was 11 o'clock at night. So the next day, ironically enough, he went to leave for work and left his phone. Let's just say curiosity got the best of me. And I looked in his phone, and I went to that contact. And what's funny is that's the only contact I looked for. I didn't look for anything else at that point. I was just curious about this one contact because I thought it was weird. And there were text messages. And you know how you can see when you're looking at text messages and like you can tell bits and pieces of the conversation had been deleted? You know? You all know what I mean. And so there was only like 4 or 5 messages in there, but you could tell they were having a full-blown conversation based off the messages that were in there. Like, he had told her, oh yeah, let's mention it to her. I'll fill you guys in a second. That the messages I do recall that were still in there was she had asked what he was doing, and he said, at a nail appointment with my daughter. Go ahead and reverse that a little bit. It wasn't a nail appointment with just his daughter. His fiance and her son was there too. Oh, but we kind of failed to mention, hey, I'm with my family. Nope, he just has his daughter. And her response back was, oh, where are you at? I need to get my nails done too. I can just say I'm a family friend. So I call the number. a girl answers, of course. And I ask who she is. And she asked who I was. And I explained that I was his fiance. She had no idea who I was or anything about me. Or so she claims. Maybe she did. But based off of the fact that he didn't include me about me in his text messages, and then, you know what I'm saying? So I can see her potentially having no idea about me. You know, obviously I had no idea about her. So he ended up remembering he forgot his phone and pulled up. And I went off. Like, I will not lie. I went off screaming and hollering because I was pissed. Like, you don't buy a house with someone, you don't propose to someone and still entertain other females. And his explanation was, no, I don't like her, I don't fuck with her anymore, like, we ain't cool like that no more, like, so on and so forth. And I was pissed. He left to go to work, and I obviously had to get to work also. So I had a day to cool off, I guess. We'll call it cooling off. And can I let it go? Like, I'm telling you guys, what I said in my last video, that, like, when I talk about these things now, I feel stupid. Like, I feel stupid. And I don't want to feel stupid because I know it was all manipulation and, like, a mental mind fuck, excuse my language, because that's what narcissists do, and that's what he does as an abuser. Like, he gets you so mentally fucked up, and, like, you don't even realize half the shit you're putting up with. So then after that, we had his daughter's birthday party, and we did well. Her mom had a party for her at the lake, and then we had a sleepover for her at our house with all my nieces and nephews, and it was good, you know, like, co-parenting went fairly well, I felt like, between the three of us. Had an amazing day. Then, Then comes Snapchat and September. So, at the time, he had two phones. One was his work phone, and one was his regular phone. Well, there would be days on the weekends that he would have to work. Well, he would be with his cousin and other people. So if I had the kids, he would leave his work phone for his daughter to play on so that the kids weren't fighting over, you know, electronics or anything like that. So you know how you just get that gut feeling. Well, see, he makes me feel bad for, like, doing the things I did, but, like, I shouldn't feel bad for, like, picking up my fiance's phone and just looking at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he made it feel like the apple from freaking Adam and Eve, like a forbidden fruit. Like, don't you dare touch his phone or go through his phone. And if you go through his phone, you're just trying to find something, and you're gonna find something. So anyway, he left his work phone, and I grabbed it. He didn't log out of his Snapchat. So, me being me, already having that issue of trust with him at this point, looked at his Snapchat. And sure enough, he was flirting with other women. Sending emojis and things like that on women's stories. And let's keep in mind, anybody who knows me knows I'm not like a skinny mini little girl. Like, I'm thick. I got meat on my bones. Like, yes, I may have a nice body, but I have meat on my bones. And these girls were like twigs. Like, not looking like me whatsoever. Let's be completely honest here. So, like, you can't help but, like, as a woman, that make you somewhat insecure that, like, your fiance is flirting with these other women that look nothing like you. I mean, I don't want him flirting with a woman, period. But especially a woman that looks nothing like you. That just, like, hits another nerve of insecurities, I feel like. Again, I confronted him on this. And he felt like he hadn't done anything wrong because he wasn't actually sleeping with anybody. Or having actual conversations with people, which, again, he's had conversations with these people because you can tell based off of the stories. Only thing is, Snapchat deletes your stuff. But if you scroll up, you can see stuff that's gotten saved in the chat. So, like, you can see that he's talked to these women, like, more than the one time that I'm seeing at the moment. And again, Snapchat deletes after 24 hours. So if I'm seeing it, he's done it within the last 24 hours. Unless it's the ones that are saved, of course. So after that conversation, he said he wouldn't do it anymore. And that he's sorry that it affected me the way it did. So I moved on. Because he told me from then on, like, he was an open book and, you know, so on and so forth. So later in September, we had our housewarming and our engagement party. That was good for the most part. I'm pretty positive we were arguing prior to everybody arriving. And it was just, so then of course when people get there, like, I'm not even fully ready because he barely helped with anything, getting anything ready. It was, oh, he mowed the lawn. Okay. But I got me ready, the kids ready, the house ready. Even some of my friends came over to help decorate and everything. Because we kind of did like a grill out because it was still summer, obviously. And so, like, the garage was all decorated out and stuff like that. But he mowed the lawn. And then as I was still trying to get ready, realized, I believe we were at a charcoal. So my cousin, God bless her heart, went and got the charcoal. And then comes October. And October is the first time he put his hands on me. He likes to claim I've never put my hands on you. Because he's never actually physically hit me. But what happened in this instance was my son and I were at the grocery store. And he was still at work. I don't remember if I called or texted him. Telling him that we were on our way home from the grocery store. We got home from the grocery store. And my son was helping carry things in. Keep in mind, my son was 4 at this time. He's going to be 5 that following month. And my son had put my phone in his backpack. And just to help me carry things in. And he'd been playing on it in the car. So he put it in his backpack to help carry it in. And had groceries and stuff like that. So I was in the kitchen putting away the groceries. My son had put his backpack in his bedroom where it belongs and shut his bedroom door because we didn't want the dogs going into the bedrooms because, you know, kids clearly can't pick things up all the time, especially little 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, yeah. So you guys don't know the setup of my house, but the kitchen to his room is a decent distance, especially with the door closed. Well, my abuser was calling my phone back to back to back. I didn't hear it. My son didn't hear it. My son had left his bedroom and was watching TV in the living room. So we didn't hear my phone. Next thing I remember was he busted through the back door, which is directly like our kitchen. The back door is right where our kitchen is. So I was in the kitchen putting away groceries. And he busts through the back door, puts his hands around my neck and pins me against the wall. My son's in the living room watching TV. So he didn't see or hear anything. Thank God. And he's just asking me, why the fuck aren't you answering your phone? Why aren't you answering your phone? You need to answer your fucking phone when I call you. It could have been an emergency. Something could have been going on. Something could have happened to me. Like, just going 100 miles a minute at me about why I didn't answer my phone. And he finally let go of me, and I was like, it's in Trey's backpack in his room. Like, I didn't think about it. I let you know that we had left the grocery store and we're on our way home, so you knew we were home. How'd I know you made it home okay? That was the other thing with him. He always wanted to know where I was at, who I was with, when I got somewhere, when I left somewhere, literally every movement of mine. He wanted to know. Every single movement. I would leave the house to go to work, and I would have to call him when I got to my desk at work in the morning, so that he knew I got to work okay. It was dumbfounding. I'll tell you more about those situations also. But yeah, he pinned me against the wall, hands around my neck, and I had a hoodie on. And so I didn't notice anything at first, but then I noticed it was kind of hurting. So I went to the bathroom, and sure enough, I had marks. I had bruises around the lower part of my neck and the collarbone. Ironically enough, that same day, his cousin and his wife and daughter were coming over for dinner because it was her birthday, and she wanted to have tacos and just like have some just, you know, a nice birthday dinner. So they come over within an hour of this all happening, if that. And her and I are in the kitchen getting dinner ready. And she looks at me and she sees my neck and, Brittany, what happened? And I just looked down and said his name. And she was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is when I finally found out that I wasn't the first woman he had done this to. I found out more about him having a protection order on him from his baby mom. I found out about a past ex before her. Well, not before her. I mean, he had gotten her pregnant and then dated this other girl for, I don't know, I think it was 2 or 3 years, if what I'm being told is correct. And apparently he had beat on her and put his hands on her more than once. And that's when I found out about the girl he took to the Christmas party. Guess she had gone to the Christmas party. And she told me that when she found out about me, honestly, I was the side chick to this other girl. He kept telling me that this other girl was just his friend. She had a pretty decent relationship with this girl. I mean, I don't know if they were friends or anything, but there is a picture of all of them at the Christmas party on Facebook. So, yeah. But it was the first time her and I ever really got to talk. And I found out a whirlwind that day. At that point, I think I felt like I was too far in to really do or say anything, or I didn't know. I was scared. And then he found out that I told her. And he has said it multiple times throughout the relationship that, and these are his exact words, that it's not about what he did or does, it's about what I say and who I speak to. And I need to learn to have some privacy about myself and what goes on in our relationship. And that if I speak to the wrong person, that something could happen to him, pretty much meaning the cops could get called on him. And pretty much something could happen to him over my temporary feelings. Right then and there, should have told me. But it didn't really hit me too much till later on. that he doesn't care what he did to me. He doesn't care what he's done to any of these past women. He only cares about himself. Anything else is just an obstacle. And once he's done using you for whatever purpose that is, he doesn't care what happens to you. Rather be putting you in the grave or just moving on from you. I kind of feel like I should stop there because this has gotten kind of long. Because this is just the start of that downhill slide I told you guys about. It's not that hard to talk about it. Like, I could go on and on telling you guys. I think my emotion is coming from being upset with myself and what I allowed. Because allowance is a hell of a thing. And after that one time of him doing it, and I allowed it, and I allowed him to stay around, started pushing further and further to see what more he could get away with. So I'm going to stop it there just because I want to keep these around the same time limit. Really? Sorry, guys. I always like to leave you guys with a takeaway. And it's kind of hard to think of one right now. I won't lie to you guys, but I feel like if there is a takeaway from this section of my life, it would be what I just said, and that's allowance. And I'm not saying blame yourself, because clearly, like, there's no reason someone should put their hands on you. None whatsoever. And I'm not saying... Let me revert back. When I'm talking about allowance, you show people how to treat you. So, like in my instances, when it came to other females, I kept forgiving. Eventually, he just learned how to get smarter with it. Actually, let's be completely honest, eventually I just stopped caring. Because I eventually learned he wasn't ever going to change. But we'll get into that later. But it's definitely an allowance. Like, the more you allow, the more people are going to try to take those steps. The more people are going to keep pushing those boundaries. It's almost like a child. When they're little, they're going to do certain things to see, what can I get away with? They do it with all authority figures. They do it with their parents. They do it with their grandparents. They do it with daycare teachers. Everybody. They're going to test boundaries to see what they can get away with. So make sure you stand on your boundaries. Because the more you allow, the more they're going to try. And the more they're going to take. And just keep going and going and going. And I don't want that for anybody. Because I allowed a lot more than I should. Which I'm not going to say necessarily put me in the position I was in fully. Because obviously, to an extent it did. Because I kept allowing it. So I kept being in the relationship longer. So he kept pushing those boundaries and testing those waters more and more and more. So, yes, in a sense, I put myself in the situation by not walking away sooner. But it's also not my fault that that's the kind of person he is. So, it's kind of a give or take. But, just watch what you guys allow. And stand firm on your boundaries. and don't allow anybody to sway those. Sorry, my phone's going dead, so it's giving me warnings. So I'm going to let you guys go with this one. And we'll get on to after October, which will be Halloween, my son's birthday, and then finally Christmas, and going out of state to officially meet his family, as in like his mother and sisters and brother, and meeting all of his family and where he actually came from, because like I had mentioned before, he's not from where I'm originally from. Well, not originally. He's not from where I'm from. Sorry. So I'll get into that in my next video next week, and more of all of that. So I love you guys. Take care. Mwah. See you next week.